I'm not. I will pause the recording. It's gonna start it.
Okay. Bonnie's about 5 minutes out. So we'll read everything real slowly. So that we can wait to do the roll.
Okay.
Does that sound good? Or we can,
Who is 1B on here?
it is. Are you?
I am November function for. Go back. Yes. Is it working?
Now I'm offline again.
It's not, but I expect it to show up. That's everybody in the.
Should I just connect? Oh, now I'm back on. That was weird. Maybe it just did what it did to Richard. Okay. All good. Yeah, okay.
Maybe open everything up.
That's what I'm doing.
That's a good-
Yeah. Okay.
This is the one part I don't have like an alphabetical list of all.
Oh, do you want?
No, it's easy enough.
Yeah. I have seen that.
There's only 8 of us.
You're on the funders.
Yeah.
Second, except us.
Every time I was like.
That will be, they're coming.
Oh, there's Richard. Thank you for proving that it is working. Appreciate that. Executive assistants.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we started in like. Since we were outgrowing that. Relocated.
We're solving 3 of it. Hang on, we're having.
Hi. Yeah. Okay. Over my meeting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so great. You oversee this.
It's 5:22. Is the title that's now? Is it ready or no?
I don't know if it's ready, but I do know that nothing has changed in Minnesota.
Right, because ours I think is still free. Right.
Because I thought it was post Biden, but it's not for the other guy. And Zach said that nothing has changed in Minnesota statute.
Right, the other one was that Catherine said something about the wellness policy not being ready. Should I amend that?
I think we can have discussion on it, and I am not ready to.
That's fine, yeah,
Yeah,
so we could put it out for approval and then deny.
yeah, and I will handle that.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
I just was like, I was talking to her yesterday morning and I was like.
You just got chosen.
Sorry for the delay, friends. Okay, I think we should just get started, Emily, and hopefully Wendy will. Wendy's here. Oh, we delayed just long enough. Okay, great. You snuck
He was
yourself
hiding
by.
behind
You're like a
Elizabeth.
ghost. Okay.
Didn't see me.
Poof, okay. All right, are we good, Emily?
Yep, I think so. I can't have anybody confirm that the Zoom is working unless Richard wants to unmute and create the tech
Oh.
vortex, so.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Someone will message you if need be, so. All right. Good evening. Directors, staff, members of the public, joining us in person and Richard online. I will now call this June 25th, 2025 regular business meeting of the Twin Cities German Immersion School Board to order. We start each meeting reflecting on our mission, vision, and values. The mission of the Twin Cities German Immersion School is the innovative education of the whole child through German immersion. Our vision is Andra Höhn, Andra Sein, Feldhofen Denken, und Handlen, educating multilingual world citizens who hear others, see others, and think and act with an open mind. And our values are curiosity, kindness, challenge and support, intercultural engagement, and community. At the start of each meeting, we also take time to read our TCGIS land acknowledgement, which is as follows. We acknowledge and appreciate that TCGIS is located on Wakapute Dakota traditional, ancestral, and contemporary homeland near Lake Minnewatka in the land now known as Minnesota Makoche. Our presence here is linked to generations of Wakapute stewardship over their land, as well as to the historical and ongoing injustices of settler colonization that impact Indigenous people to the present day. We are committed to understanding our role in this legacy and to educating ourselves and our community about Indigenous history through continued mindfulness and engagement in and outside the classroom. Director Albers, will you please call the roll for the record?
I am here. Director Hyde,
Here.
Director Larson. Here. Director Lindner,
Here.
Director Wright,
Here?
Director Snaka.
Here.
Director Tesfayesus.
Here.
And Director Yemeneo.
Here.
And ex officio Executive Director, same thing.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. We have a number of guests here today who are joining us, including some of our Hertzfeld Prize nominees, our incoming board members, and Danielle Miller, TCGIS's program manager from our authorizer, the University of St. Thomas. Thank you all for taking the time to be here and helping us wrap up the year in a fun and festive way. So I will just say that this school year really did fly by. It's hard to believe it's already our June board meeting. Even my kids are like, wow, it's the end of the school year, which I feel like speaks volumes. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank the board for all of your work this year. It's incredible to think about all the things that we covered in 1 year's time. And I just want to acknowledge the time and dedication that you all put in to this work. So it can be a lot. So thank you. Yeah, and I also appreciate all of your patience and grace as we navigated a lot of transitions at the beginning of the year. So thank you for bearing with us and for volunteering all of your time and expertise. Our school is really fortunate to have folks like you committed to this work. So with that, we'll just now move on to our agenda for the evening. And the first order of business for tonight's meeting is to approve May's meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve May's meeting minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Hyde. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Larson. Any edits or adjustments to May's minutes?
Yes.
Director Lindner?
I'd like to amend the schedule to strike on point 15, approval of board committees and chairs and liaison role.
That's for this meeting. Do you have any corrections for last month's?
Oh, sorry, minutes.
We'll do that next,
Yeah, you're just you're a step ahead of us.
as usual.
I know.
My bad. Disregard.
All right,
Read it from the record.
yeah.
Deleted.
Eddie, any corrections to May's meeting minutes? All right, hearing none, the minutes are approved. Okay, here you go, Jens. Our next agenda item is to approve tonight's meeting agenda. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Well, I suppose I didn't make a motion first.
Oh,
Do I have a motion to approve
You so
tonight's
moved,
agenda?
so
Thank you
moved.
for
okay,
directing me.
Val.
Really hot in here. Thank you, Director Hyde, for your second. Any amendments to tonight's agenda?
I would like to amend point 15 to strike the chairs and liaison roles for school year 25-26, as we have 5 new board members, 4 new board members, 1 returning board members. To give them time to have conversations who would like to fill roles and so that we only approve the board
Committees.
committees.
All right, all in favor of, any discussion?
Would those then be determined at the August meeting?
Yes.
I have a question if there's a need for a more active treasurer in the meantime. Was the discussion to do executive board, to not do executive board, or to just remove the liaisons and the chairs?
Just approval of, just to remove the subcommittee chairs. So I think that treasurer is automatically the chair of the finance committee.
But
But who is? But
So we're still
determining
gonna
the-
do the executive.
Still do
Determining
the
the
board of
treasurer is what I-
officers.
Yes, got
We're
it.
just not gonna do the chairs of
That's
the
what I'm clarifying.
subcommittees.
Okay.
I have another change. Should I make a separate motion after this one, or can I add it to this one?
I think you can add it to this one.
Okay, so I'd also like to add to Yen's motion, to strike the word working from section 6. Item A. Oh, sorry, item B. We're approving the working budget for 24-25, wrapping up
Oh.
this year. We will be approving the budget for next year, not the working budget.
So just the word working.
Just the word working from B.
Mm.
So consider approval of the school year 25-26 budget.
Mhm. All right. Any discussion on that? Any other amendments to tonight's agenda? All right, all in favor of the edits to tonight's agenda to remove the vote on subcommittee chairs and liaisons, as well as to adjust agenda item 6B to read 2025-26 budget? Say aye.
I
All opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes. You got all that, Director Albers?
Sure. I will. Thank you.
All right. That brings us to our open forum. The school board recognizes and values the participation by the public in deliberations and decisions on school district matters. To maintain orderly and efficient proceedings, the board provides a specified period of time in regular business meetings during which the members of the public attending in person may address the school board. I think almost everyone here is here to be recognized tonight, but if anyone here would like to address the board. All right.
Now is a chance of
Now is
hold your
your chance.
peace.
Just wait, nothing's have plenty of time. All right. Since we don't have anyone here for open forum, we'll officially close that for the evening. And that brings us to our next item on our agenda, which is our monthly community recognition. So we'll let Director Albers get those slides.
I think I have this down.
All right. We will start with our lost and found volunteers. Wendy, I think this is.
It is true that I spend a lot of time lost and found
I might have strategically given you this one.
area. But I have really noticed that it's become more systematic, and I'm really impressed at how much material is really nicely organized in that corner. So I really do appreciate the time and effort put in by Mary Parrish, Tina Briskner, and Nikita Tanaskovich Polikarpu. Thank you very much for all your help to parents and to kids.
Awesome. Thank you to our last. Did we donate the items to our own closed donation?
We sometimes do.
We sometimes do, perfect. Right. I think I'm next. I get to give a big shout out to our spring intern host families. I think our intern program is one of the hallmarks of our school and a wonderful way that we are able to live out our values, especially of intercultural engagement. And this program would not be possible without the generosity of our host families who have welcomed interns into their homes and helped their experience here to really be something to remember and something that will hopefully be a positive journey in their teaching experience. So it's a big thing to welcome someone into your home for at least 3 months or roughly 6 months, I suppose, and some for a whole year. So just wanted to thank Annegret and Tom, Heather and Edward, Laura and Matt, Chris and Jolene, Aviva and Daniel, Lauren, Aiden and Abner, Holly and Chris, Kelly and Anthony, and Julie and Tarek for welcoming our spring interns into their homes this year. And I know a few of you are here, so thank you very much.
I have the elders contact. I'll do it. Thank you to all the Eltern contacta throughout the school year. I did this job way back in the day when my eldest was in kindergarten and beyond for a few years. And I really enjoyed it, but I also know how much work it was. But also all of the families really, really appreciate that type of work. So thank you to Christine, Jane, Kate, Molly, Jane, Alessandra, Gloria, Jeanette, Emily, Christina, Kate, Galliana, Holly, Nicole, Courtney, Lindsay, Allison, Charles, Britta, Jen, Candace, Emily, Marissa, Veronica, Christina, Jennifer, Alyssa, Christine, Joe, Candace, Alyssa, and Nicole. Thank you again.
Excellent. I should also shout out Paige for helping to keep all those folks
Yes.
engaged and organized.
We also want to thank all the middle school dance volunteers. I know that every dance is one of the things that the middle schoolers look forward to the most, probably the most outside of Valley Fair. And it couldn't happen without the staff members that volunteer to come assist with that. So very big thanks to Nina, Sam, Isaiah, Christopher, Michelle, and Roxanne for their help with the 5-6 part of the dance, and to Elizabeth, who should probably be on both lists, but I don't know.
She's always there. Yeah.
To Elizabeth, Sam, Catherine, Isaiah, Christopher, and Emily Richardson for their help with the 7-8 part of the dance. So thank you all.
Can I add one? We had a new DJ at this dance, and PTO co-president, president, Erin Myers, Dr. Erin Myers was our DJ with her daughter Ellie, and it was so fun. They had mice masks and lights, and the music was great. And so it was their first time, and they rocked it. It was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I would like to recognize the graduation volunteers. This one was special to me as my son graduated this year as well. So thank you to Ginger Sanford, Catherine Radicke, Sam Graff, Colleen Schlipper, and many more. There was an event put together after, actually, at a local restaurant, which was also pretty nice, that I hadn't seen with my eldest child graduated. So it continues to get better. So thank you to all the volunteers on the graduation.
Right. That bring us to the end of our.
It does, but you have 4F that says June community outreach volunteers.
Oh, I think that one got switched.
Okay.
So I don't think we're doing that one. Excellent. Well, we've caught up on time, so that's great. And I think this is a very fun part of our meeting tonight, to be able to recognize our second annual Herzblut Prize, the Heart and Soul Award, for an outstanding volunteer in our community. It feels very weird to talk.
Totally weird.
And you guys are all sitting back there, so I'm gonna half turn.
Yep.
So there's nobody online anyways, right?
Alyssa now.
Oh, hey, Alyssa,
Hi,
sorry.
Alyssa.
Just as a refresher, this award was inspired by the tremendous example of servant leadership set forth by former board chair Julie Alpitude, who's here tonight. The award was created as a way to honor the many, many volunteers of the TCGIS community who year in and year out contribute to making our school a strong institution through their volunteerism. We could not be the school we are without our volunteers. And so tonight we're pleased to recognize 7 Hertzblut Prize nominees, all of whom were nominated by the broader TCGIS community earlier this spring. And the board of directors then had the difficult task of selecting this year's recipient. And before we recognize that person, we just wanted to take a moment to celebrate each nominee by reading their nomination submission. They are not long, so don't worry, we won't be here all night, but just wanted to take a moment to give those folks a shout out and recognize their various ways that they're contributing to our community because it's pretty impressive. So with that, I will ask the board members, I think everybody has their marching orders, so let's kick it off.
Bring it up. 1 second. I didn't have it up and ready.
Okay.
All right, the first one is Courtney Biren. Hopefully I'm saying it right.
Yeah, you are.
Courtney comes in many times a week to help out all around TCGIS. She helps in the lunchroom, and it says in parentheses, brave soul, and goes out of her way to help us advertise TCGIS. She is always asking for TCGIS handouts to advertise around town and at preschools. She's always spreading the good word and getting us involved as in many places as she possibly can. With many events, she's almost always the first person to sign up and lend a hand, either at the event or behind the scenes, like baking tons of treats for Grandparents' Day. Thank you. She brings care and understanding to everyone at TCGIS. And I personally worked with you on the parent council, so definitely recognize that. So thank you, Courtney.
All right. All right.
All right, next we have Lindsay Biller. This has quite the, I think this was submitted by Paige. It has quite the emphasis on some of these things. So Lindsay is out there recruiting for TCGIS. She volunteers at almost all recruitment events and puts her heart and soul into it. She organizes and leads new family playdates and spreads amazing things about our school. She even attended a school fair for TCGIS on her youngest daughter's birthday because we really needed a Spanish speaker. She spent a few hours talking with a family in Portuguese because they weren't able to communicate with any of the other new families at the event. She really truly represents TCGIS and does an amazing job. In addition to all of this, she's raising a 2nd grader and a kindergartner, supermom and volunteer.
Awesome.
Our next nominee was Nick Gardner. Nick has been volunteering in a variety of places at TCGIS, crosswalk duty, library, lunchroom volunteer, subbing in the kitchen when staff is sick, or on PTO. He exemplifies all of TCGIS values. I do recognize the crosswalk duty as, our sons have to drop off, to take their time crossing the street. So thank you very much.
Nick is on vacation in Michigan, so he wasn't able to join us tonight.
Next up is Tabea Kul. Tabea brought her positive energy, deep commitment, and many talents to share with those in the library this year. Not only did she spend many hours helping with book projects, and she would also often volunteer in the office and the kitchen as well to help out. She's in good company with all the other library volunteers, and they've been fortunate to have her. Thank you.
Awesome.
Our next nominee is Tina Bishna. Outside of her many roles in keeping our cafeteria working smoothly, Tina is a tireless helper at a moment's notice for her son's class and anyone who needs a hand. If ever you have looked at the mass collection of lost and found items and thought to yourself, wow, all of this is so easy to look through and so nicely organized, chances are it was our very own Tina who spent the time and energy either before or after school to turn it into something we can all stand to walk past. Oh, and she would never let a hungry teacher go unfed. Always willing to take a second to find you something to get you through. Thank you, Tina.
All right, and our final nominee for the Herzblut Prize, and the winner is Candace Davis. Candace Davis has spent the majority of the last decade, has it only been a decade? Working hard on the Twin Cities German Immersion Schools PTO. She has served to a degree in every single role and helps with recruitment. She organized Teacher Appreciation Week, helps with budgeting and finance, recruitment, communications, advertising. Her incredible strength and work ethic kept our PTO going through COVID. And she easily spends hundreds of hours every year doing all of this specifically to show the teachers and staff at our school how much they matter to us. I remember how excited she was as we packed goodie bags together at her house one night during COVID. I didn't write this, by the way. You probably know who did. Where was I? I remember how excited she was as we packed goodie bags together at her house one night during COVID so that we could drop off treats for viewers of TCGIS's variety show, which was a creative way to bring our community together, even when we are all remote learning. She gives countless hours to school committees working on the building and playground planning committee. She has an open heart and is willing to pitch in wherever she is needed. She does this while being an incredible parent and working in a full-time capacity. Candace spearheaded the movement to ensure that the PTO events are all accessible and inclusive, including championing feeding the community at our meetings and offering a sliding scale payment structure to make sure that all families can participate in our community building events. There are many of us in the school community who love to volunteer and help. We all work with Candace because she inspires us. She's an incredible role model and she cares. She doesn't care just one time for one event. She gives her time and talents frequently and consistently, and with a giant heart. Nobody could deserve this award more than Candace Davis.
It means a lot. Thank you.
Now, as deserving as Candace is, sometimes the funny thing about these types of awards is that there's multiple people that have gone above and beyond for our school. And this year is definitely one of those years. Candace received 3 nominations, and we also had another person who received 3 nominations. So the board agreed that he too should be recognized as a Herzblut Prize recipient, and that individual is board treasurer Richard Hyde. So. Oh, well, you can cry when I read this nomination.
I didn't see my name on the list.
We didn't want you to feel obligated to vote, so we pulled one over on you. So this nomination reads, I am proud to nominate Richard Hyde for the Herzblut Prize, as he has truly poured his heart and soul into TCGIS over the past 7 years. Since first joining the community as a kindergarten parent, Richard has been a tireless advocate and a dedicated leader, investing countless hours to support the school's mission and future. Richard began his involvement as a PTO volunteer and soon deepened his commitment by running for and winning a seat on the school board. For the past 6 years, he has served with distinction as the board's treasurer and chair of the finance committee. In these roles, Richard has demonstrated exceptional financial acumen and unwavering dedication, consistently seeking ways to streamline spending, increase revenue, and ensure the school's long-term sustainability. Beyond his financial expertise, Richard brings genuine enthusiasm and a deep personal commitment to TCGIS. His passion is infectious, and it's evident to everyone who meets him. He is both strategic and approachable, able to dive into budget line items one moment and rally a group of volunteers the next. He celebrates the unique strengths of TCGIS while actively working to drive meaningful improvements The past school year alone highlights Richard's impact. He led efforts to optimize the school's lease aid revenue and initiated a complex process of refinancing the school's bonds through the affiliated building company. These efforts aim to better align the school's financing structure with its long-term financial health. Additionally, Richard provided critical oversight and creative thinking to the playground project, ensuring the budget was well-sourced and that the capital investment would yield lasting benefits to students. Richard's leadership style fosters a sense of community and commitment. Over the past 6 years, he has maintained a stable and engaged group of parent volunteers on the finance committee, clear evidence of his positive influence and collaborative spirit. He leads by example, inspiring others to contribute their time and talents to TCGIS. In addition to his finance work, Richard serves as the school board's liaison to staff, regularly attending staff council meetings, keeping lines of communication open between the board and administration, and advocating for staff needs. He's also played a key role in union negotiations, always striving to improve staff salaries within the constraints of state funding and enrollment-based revenue. Richard's impact on TCGIS is deep and lasting. His dedication, leadership, and genuine care for the community make him an outstanding candidate for the Hertzberg Prize. So, congratulations, Director Hyde. All right. Anything else to add from anyone? Anything our recipients would like to say?
Yeah, I want to move the budget presentation to after.
That time has passed, my friend. Just kidding, you can take a moment. It really was fun to recognize both of you because you the amount of time and effort you both have given is incredible.
We have time to take a picture.
We do have time to take a picture. I think that would that be a good break? We could take a picture. Perfect. Julia, I feel like you should take a picture. Okay.
I think Julie has to be in the picture. It's a surprise.
I wasn't kidding. Okay. While we do that, I'd also like to thank Liz Kessner for helping us to design and fabricate these plaques. So she did that again. Of course, I want you to hold them. Is there like a good wall?
No.
Okay, how about that? Yeah. Is the groove?
How about I wasn't here to get this.
Oh. Here, scoot over that way, just a little bit. One, two. 1, 2, 3. I do want to just Richard in.
It was free.
There was a level of detail there that.
I'm like, Julie or Elizabeth, nobody else knows all of those words.
Okay.
Just one.
I know. We'll
I
be better.
agree.
All right, and Jesse's here too, so. Thanks for sharing your husband with all of us.
For sure.
It's a lot of time.
There's gonna be so much time.
I know, you're gonna have so many, like, it's gonna be so easy to carpool and things.
It's like, hey, when are you gonna apply for board? What's you gonna?
Too soon? All right, wow. You okay to do the budget?
Yeah.
All right. Our next,
Practicing
you've been
my
practicing,
whole life to not get emotional.
okay. It's okay if you do. But budgets can be emotional.
German.
All right, so that brings us to our next agenda item, which is our budget presentation for the year.
And you're sharing that or not?
Can you allow me to share? Absolutely.
It says you can.
Your reward for sitting through the budget presentation is treats afterwards.
Oh, that's just
Windows and stuff.
but we're just gonna do it like this. A little better.
Yep.
All right, so we will be doing two things. First, we will be approving the working budget for the 24-25 school year, which is the third column. Or third budget column, yes, thank you. And the 550, which is the column after that. ADM budget for next year, the 555 is there. Just to be prepared, right? You want to do the 550?
We're doing 550, but we had prepared 555 already, and so we figured we would just leave it there.
Selected. Okay, so we'll start with the working budget from this year. You can see that we are ending the year at a deficit of $195,908. Important note is the playground is in that, and we approved a negative spend at our June board meeting of last year in anticipation of that playground. The 92 below that is the actual negative from the year, without the playground. And that is a DSCR of 98.98, which is below.
It's below right
Yeah.
now, but we also know that we had May financials and it's gonna end up being okay at the end.
Yep. And if we're not, I'll be there too.
Yeah, it'll be close. It'll
Yeah.
be tight, but it'll be close.
So, but either way, that is very good. Great work, Elizabeth, with the drop in enrollment this year and keeping it as close to 100 as you have. So very great work. I won't go into a lot of detail since we've been talking about this budget all year, unless anybody wants to ask any specific questions. Feel free. Otherwise, I'll make a motion to approve the working budget from the 24-25 school year, which is the 25 fiscal year.
All right.
And can I get a second?
Second.
Oh, I'm not supposed to say that.
No, you can. I was just
Yeah.
figuring out which one to get.
Director Yamania. All right. Is there any discussion?
So do I understand it correctly that the negative 90 some thousand either will vanish or we would have to?
Well, it's not gonna vanish, but we do know that 80 is our amount. We need to stay under 80. The changes that we've made that you'll see when we actualize the fiscal year are that the actuals for a lot of the categories like instructional supplies, curriculum, all those things are finally totaling out. The field trips was something that we towards the end of the year, we started approaching differently. And so that was one thing that Kelly went in and actually aligned so that we're not below revenue on that. And then the other change, she found one error in something that she had calculated. I don't remember what the exact error was, but that brought it all down to 1.0.
And if we still have a deficit, is that just then a cash flow deficit, or are we having to fund it out of our fund balance?
That comes out of the fund balance.
And that would be an August action.
The what?
To fund it, would it be an August action?
To fund the
transfer.
negative
To transfer.
I think it has to be after the audit.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, so it won't be until like November.
Got it. Okay.
Any other questions? Discussion? Can you just tell me what the top number is again, Richard?
The 558,
No,
the 195,980.
yep, okay, because that was the 100 from the playground.
Yeah. Like 103
Yeah.
from the community fund for.
Mhm.
And those numbers are through April, is what you said?
These are through,
This is to like last week.
Oh, okay.
Was it
no, these are through May.
the end of May?
Yeah.
The end of May.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a June 3rd meeting, I think, so this is the end of May.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, there's been lots of discussions, so I'll just ask one more time if anybody has any further points of clarification. All right. All in favor of approving the fiscal year 25 working budget as presented by Director Hyde, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes.
All right. And the next action will be to approve the 25-26 budget as laid out here. So $550 for enrollment. I know we've talked a lot about that over the last few meetings. Just short recap, we've been doing years of retention and
Attrition.
attrition and just kind of compiling all those numbers. Thanks to Nicole. So I think we feel pretty confident in that 550 number, comparing it to where we were for the previous 5 years. And that's actually, I think the actual number would be like 552, but we're using 555 just because we usually go a couple students lower just to stay in line with our conservative budgeting that we like to practice. So that would, again, thanks to Elizabeth, Kelly, and Kim for all their work. I know it's been hours and hours of trying to make this work, but that would leave us at a positive $23,709 for next year. And that would be a 115% or 1.15 DSCR. Which would be great. So you can see you can kind of see, I know it's small, the numbers in each grade, and that's aligned with Nicole's predictions for next year with a very significant, like 90% of or more of responses from the survey next year. Also, I know Elizabeth and others have been making lots of calls to maybe families and everything, try to get that numbers.
We feel like we've worked our way through the maybe list and we really have a solid understanding of what the number is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so this is all just revenue. That's not going to change, or that's not anything we can change. That's just based on our enrollment. And then we get down to other local revenue. I know we talked about this at the executive committee. We are using 85,000 for donations next year. So that's reflected there. We have
I would say, just so we're clear, people are having eyes on this, that the capstone trip revenue is not actually revenue that's passed through, where we do not make money on capstone, but we do try to stay even on that.
all right, and then expenditure calculations. Our salaries for staff are by far our biggest expenditure. And that, again, thanks to Elizabeth and Kim and Kelly, is all very, very accurate. Being, who's going to, for the most part, who's going to be here next year, and with the hopefully approval of the CBA, all those numbers will be right.
It was really helpful that we had very low turnover this year in the gen ed side of things, because we had some pretty firm numbers right away. We did have to make some cuts across ADSYS in order to allow for the CBA. And that was how we had planned that to work into.
And then for rent to the ABC, important to note that we are using half of what we expect to save yearly with refinancing the 13 bonds. We're expecting it could take up to 6 months if we get the process started in July, August. So So we're only using half. But we will need to refinance the bonds next year to make this work. The way it's laid out here. Otherwise, you know, with all the processes that were put in place over the last couple of years for classroom supplies and everything, those numbers are pretty accurate, or more accurate than they have been previously. Yeah, I think that's about it. I can open it up for discussion and questions.
I have a question, Richard. So the second from the right, that's the one we're looking at, right? The 550 ADM?
Yep.
Is the 555 just a projection if in case we land at 555?
We had started there, and so actually Kelly has one, the current one has it hidden. It's just, you know, you can't really see it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
Most of the time we were planning on doing 555, but as we watched where we thought enrollment was going to be, we thought it would be safer to go with 550.
okay, and I know executive directors and we'll get to what the numbers might look like when we get to your director's report later. But just a preview, what is it? What does it look like?
I think it's falling right in between there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And what was interesting is when we brought it down to 550, what do they call that? Like the loss of enrollment. There's a loss of enrollment revenue. It actually stayed pretty even, Steven, because of that.
Okay. And then my second question is, you mentioned the CBA. How close are we to getting that?
Sorry, I
missed
answer
maybe the
that.
whole last.
Yeah, we'll be voting on that tonight. The teachers ratified it on the 18th.
It was a really good negotiation session. We were timely, both sides were cooperative, and it was a really good partnership.
All right, Alvin.
What number did you use for the interest from the Bremer Old National conversation?
The interest calculation. That is based on local revenue.
Deposit 20 something 20.
80.
Okay.
And as of right now, that should be under if the interest rate stays where it's at.
Yeah,
That should be under, but left a little room for it to tick down a point or two.
Okay, good.
All right, any other questions? No, we talked about this budget a lot as well.
Well, I don't think I ever actually made a motion, so I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 budget as laid out here.
Second.
All right, once we kind of had a discussion, I will say all in favor of approving school year 25-26 fiscal year 26 budget as presented by Director Hyde, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries.
Also,
Budget is approved.
yeah, before we wrap it up, I just want to say, Elizabeth, bang up job.
Yes.
I know how
So
much
fun.
Yeah, but I know how much work it was for you and your team to do this, and having a CBA negotiations done before the contract is over I don't know if it's ever been done. At least in the not in the last 5. So
Yeah.
last 10 years. So
It's great.
great job all around.
Thank
Very impressed.
Agreed. I will second that. And we did Elizabeth's year-end review last year, and she said doing the budget was actually one of her favorite parts of her job. So I think that just speaks volumes to her willingness to dig in and learn. And
Is that because of the budgeting or because of me?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
so well done.
Can I just add that in case there are stakeholders that are listening, we didn't have to mess with class sizes at all in order to make this budget work. Those class sizes that were established at the June meeting last year are still active. And so if it was 2 sections last year, it's likely 2 sections this year because there hasn't been any change. But we didn't take any that were 3 this year and make them into 2. So, yeah.
Good point of clarification. Anything else to add about the budget or process? All right, then we will recess until 7:45. And yeah, we will be back at that time.
I think we're good to
I'm
go.
gonna let one grab whatever he needs. Okay, it's June. All right, it is
Last meeting.
7:46, and I will call this meeting of the Twin Cities Urban Immersion School Board back to order. And we will move on to agenda item number 8, which is our director's report. Director Zenfield, take it away.
Great, thanks. I'll just wait for Director Alvarez to cue that up. Yep, there she is. Great, thanks. Okay, we'll start with some operational updates. Key financial indicators is going to look just a little different to you. I added some features to show you the changes from the previous director's report. So we are at days cash on hand 77, which is down 2 from last month. Our enrollment has stayed steady. Our DSCR is at 1.0, which is exactly where it was at the last month. And so that's before the 98.
And read May.
That should read May. Yeah, thank you. That should read May. And then the fund balance as percentage was 29.3%, which is exactly what it was for the last month as well. Yeah, sorry, that should say from the, no, it is from the April report because we're 2 months behind.
Okay.
Yep. Some staffing updates. This is that time of year. So we've got new staff for next year. Actually, the first one, Severin Medding, was arriving and now he is not. So that was a chance. I haven't had a chance to remove that. He was waiting on a visa. We also didn't have a position for him. And so he and I had a really good chat. He would prefer to then wait a year, stay where he's at. He is already signed an offer letter for the following school year. So for the 26-27 school year, we know for sure there will be a position then. And so he's coming back. Super excited to see him in a year. Anya is coming. Her visa is complete. She will be helping us out with the middle school drama and then some of the like DAF and intensive Deutsch and some of the stuff in the middle school. Kate Keener is going to be a special ed case manager. She's a tier 3 teacher coming from, I believe, Kentucky. Larissa Gaulis is a international teacher coming from Germany. She's going to be a special ed case manager. I believe she's from Berlin. Chloe Braunmiller is going to be the new middle school humanities teacher. She is a tier 4 licensed history teacher with a great resume. She just happens to speak German. She did a Fulbright, was there for 5 years, has a little girl who has a German passport and some German language. And so she's going to be a really great fit for our school. Super excited. Angelina Gasparov will be our new school social worker. She's moving here from California. She was at the Goethe Institute school this year after her school burned down in those fires that were in California. And she's a Minnesota native. She's worked at Kinder Club. She's a licensed social worker who speaks a couple of languages, and one of them happens to be German. Lauren McHugh will be a new school psych intern working with Dr. Mecklenburg. And then Adele Mori is a new hire in a new position, the special education behavior support coordinator. If you think about the director as the principal of the SPED department and assistant director is maybe an assistant principal, this position would be what we would call like a behavior dean. That's the comparable position on the gen ed side. Some resignations and some retiring, where we lost Josh Groven, Nadine is heading back to Berlin, Christine Foss is moving on, Anthony Loudon is moving on, Tina Richner is moving on, and Amy Peterschmidt has retired. Good for her. Some additional operational updates. We've been continuing on our design project. We had our estimate meeting. We're working on phase 1 of the pricing proposal. We're meeting with the ABC after the July break to update them on some of those costs and talk to them about what the ABC is willing to help out with. Work could begin mid-July. The first focus will be the atrium, that vestibule where the elevator is, all that white space, the front office, and then some signage. Speaking of signage, there she is. The new sign is up. Super excited. Chimney work and flooding repair is already in process, and so Andy is keeping an eye on that. There will be no more flooding in the downstairs.
I took the dongle from that room and that is wild.
Yeah.
For it after knowing it for so many
Yeah,
years.
I knew you'd be excited. Our line of credit is finalized and that 250K was deposited into our credit account with Bremer. So thanks for everybody who signed stuff and helped me with that. Our enrollment for 25-26 is looking like this for right now. We're feeling pretty confident that that 559 is going to be within 5 or so. Any questions on that guy? We are working on that K1 piece. Once the fiscal year turns over to the next one, we'll be reaching out to Charter Source. Dallon's actually coming to visit and we'll work on some kindergarten ads and some strategic.
He's coming here.
He's going to come visit. You want to meet him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Charter Connect, right?
That's Charter Connect. I said the wrong thing.
That's okay. There's a lot of charter.
There's a lot of charter. Yeah.
And is there still a push to get those last 7 kindergartners?
That's what I just said.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know you had some other things, but
There were some other things that are working. Yeah, we haven't.
I was trying to help you.
That is one of the things, Charter Connect. And then, once July hits, we've got our recruitment and enrollment people are off this week and the next. So we'll get back to it after that.
Is 6th grade 3 classes or 2?
6th grade next year is 2 classes because it was 2 classes this year as 5th grade as well. Yeah. Everything stayed. They just moved up.
Okay.
So 2nd grade is also next year 2 sections because they were 2 this year. And then 8th grade is also 2 sections because there were 2 7th grades this year. Great question. So recruitment and retainment and some outreach events coming up. We'll be at the All Portia Show this weekend in Rosedale. Come see us. Paige is still looking for some help at the Como Pride. FC, I'm supposed to say FC Holstein, not FC Kiel. We were corrected today, so just so you know, that visit is happening June 30th. Super excited to see them visit. They're bringing about 10 to 15 players and then some coaches, and we're doing stations with our students who are here at camp and then kids who RSVP'd from outside of camp. They'll get to sign autographs. They'll get to play with professional soccer players. It's going to be super cool. And then you can see the rest of the events we've got coming up in late summer and early fall. Save the date, 20th anniversary is September 20th. We're celebrating the 20th on the 20th.
Did you do?
You'll never forget it. I know I
Or was
realize
that
I
just a
did
hat?
not.
I just did too.
Yeah. Reach out to Paige to join that committee. And then Paige put together this next slide for our celebration meeting at the end of the year. And I just thought it spoke volumes of the work that Paige has done. I'm incredibly proud of the work that she's done this year and that marketing, recruitment, retainment, enrollment group. Over 105 total recruitment and retention events this year. 105. That's
amazing.
Crazy. I don't know how many there were last year, but there were not 105. We had over 34 tours, 9 new family play dates. We had over 15 new TCGI swag items. See the fanny pack in the corner. Hot item. We created new branded materials. We have folders, Post-its, marketing handouts, had our application enrollment materials translated into Spanish. We had 7 retainment cafe clutches, had double the amount of grandparents at the grandparents and loved ones cafe clutch. We participated or advertised in over 30 events and publications outside of TCGIS. And that's all she could fit on that slide. So she has done an amazing.
New family copy clutch was new this year too, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Which was very well.
It was really well,
that
yeah.
sticks around.
That was a really
That
good
was
one.
really, really fun.
Yeah, that was a really good one. That will stick around. Yeah. People are always asking about why students exit, so I thought I would throw this on here. It kind of shows you that there's some patterns. We don't know much about why language immersion is not a priority anymore. Poor academic fit is one that I have a lot of questions around. I want to know what that means. Sometimes it's been, I believe there are special education students in that. I believe there are students who are looking for more academic rigor or challenge. That category kind of covers a whole bunch. And then we also had like siblings are leaving, so then one leaves, so then, you know, two leave. They go together as a pair. Vacation schedules, some families have not liked our vacation schedule. We do align with St. Paul Public Schools, but if you are a Minneapolis family, that does not always align. And then people are thinking ahead to high school prep. So we do see families, if they get into a private school, 6th or 7th or 8th grade, they will go. Someone said religion. Yep, this is not the school for you. Yeah.
Are you guys thinking about how to parse out that poor academic fit to be more specific?
Yeah. Nicole and I have
next year.
talked about what we can, how we can have some follow-up questions and try
Or
to
more
tease that out.
than that.
Yeah, I think it's just
Yeah.
too vague. I thought I'd share the vision and mission,
The vision.
the vision and mission of our 20th anniversary event planning. There were a lot of ideas around how that event could look. We know it's a big deal. So our vision is to honor and celebrate 2 decades of language, learning, and community at our German immersion school by creating a joyful, inclusive, and memorable 20th anniversary that reflects our school's growth, spirit, and impact on students, families, and the greater community. Our mission for that day or couple of days is to plan and execute a celebration that highlights the journey from a small 2-grade program to a thriving K-8 German immersion school of over 550 students. Through events, storytelling, cultural showcases, and community engagement, we will honor the people, partnerships, and milestones that have shaped our school's identity while inspiring pride and connection for the next 20 years and beyond. Together, we celebrate a legacy of excellence and commit to sustaining it for generations to come. So looking super forward to that day.
I feel like it deserves a round.
I feel like I
know.
Yay. Yeah. Something super cool that just happened is we always have the DSD celebration. So for this year's 8th graders, we usually have it in like October or so. We decided to move it up. It's going to be the 19th. It'll be that Friday night. We're going to invite some dignitaries. We'll have the consulate. We'll have our set of A person from Chicago there. We'll kick that off. We'll kick the events off with that super important celebration. Take that to, I think, maybe a little cocktail party somewhere with those people. And that will be how we kick off the 20th anniversary weekend. So, yay. Some academic updates. This is a professional development summary of the work that was done by teachers this year. Everything that you see in green are things that are, well, actually, with the exception of German immersion strategies, are required for teachers to remain licensed. German immersion strategies is obviously just a commitment that we have. Cultural competency training, we did not offer, but we gave time for it because it's offered through Minnesota Department of Education, and it is also required for licensure. So we gave 30.5 CEUs, 36 for tenured teachers who did the cognitive coaching through QComp, which means that in 5 years, which is the duration of a tier 3 or tier 4 license, students or teachers would have about 200 CEUs, which is 80 over what our teachers need. So our goal is to really be able to provide that service to our teachers. Exciting class of 2025 DSD results. We had an 85%. I don't know why.
Thank you.
Yeah, it does look like it got larger.
That was impressive.
Hey, thank you, Emily. 85% passed with B level. I think after I made this, Katrin Gilhoff called me and told me that one more person passed. So it might be, I don't know, I don't do math, 86.5% or something. Really high. I included that Common European Framework. Coming to you in a strategic plan soon is understanding what that means. But it's really easy to remember that it's the DSD 1. And so the goal is B1. And so that's exactly where we want our kids to be. 85% of our kids made it. It's great. If you think about what our MCA scores are, It's a really good number.
How did that compare to other years? Just curious.
Last year was 75%.
Okay, so it's a big improvement.
Yep. And I don't know about historical after that. Whole child, we had a whole bunch of things going on at the end of the school year. We celebrated Pride Day as a school. We did the elementary student belonging survey. Staff analyzed those trends at an ES meeting. We had a transition to middle school night. We pushed in with Catherine and Nina going to Morgan Kreis for the fourth graders to talk about transitioning. And our fourth grade teachers did puberty lessons. We used to contract that out, and now we have our teachers do it. And it's a big change. It's cool. We had our last dance of the school year. Graduation was an amazing event. And then that end of the year picnic, of course it rained. It always rains on that day now. But we did also on that day include quiet, calming, and regulation spaces for kids who just can't handle all of the chaos that comes at an end of the year picnic. So really thoughtful things that task force has done. Here are some samples from the ES belonging. Some highlights are, if you look at the bottom left, my teachers like and care about me. 85% said yes. Middle, my teachers help me learn to be successful. Pretty big chunk. And most days I like coming to school. I think there's some work on there. READ Act PD update. If we've been talking about the READ Act for about 2 years, and phase 1, round 1 is done. We should clap now. 16 educators successfully completed the READ Act training, exclamation point. They were K through 3-4 teachers, some special educators, our literacy interventionists, and then also Nina and Catherine did that work. Esther is doing a different one. She's doing READ Act for administrators, and she's got another year on that. She is our literacy lead. So phase 1, round 2 will start next year. We'll do our ELL teacher, and then any remaining K to 3 or 4 teachers. They've pushed some of these deadlines out. TCGS right now is sitting in a really good spot. We are ahead of the game. Moving forward, we're going to take some of those things that we learned and implement them into best practice, and then we'll include that in a curriculum review. And then we've adopted some curriculum called UFly. We'll be using that in our mid to upper elementary grades. That should, hopefully we should see some increase in some literacy gains. And we know that learning literacy in one language leads to acceleration in the other language. So we're hoping for that. Parent survey, end of the year results. Our strengths were that 92 to 93% are satisfied with their school, satisfied with their academic programs, and satisfied with their child's German skills, respectively. 100% of our parents, 100% of the people who took the survey strongly agreed to feeling welcome, and that teachers have built strong relationships with students. We celebrated that at our end of the year meeting. That's clappable.
Yeah.
I would say that not every family in the community took the survey, but still 100%. There were more than 50, so it's a big deal. Some opportunities, our parents are wanting more communication from teachers. And parents do not know which administrator to contact if needed. So we need to work on that. So we'll figure that out for next year. Thanks to everybody who did the survey. Coming next year, things that we're working on, standard response protocol is how we would handle fire alarms, medical emergencies, active shooter, things like that. We're embedding cultural responsive practices into our teacher evaluation as per Minnesota state statute requirement. We are working on a strategic plan. Next planning session is August 4th. Spoiler alert, I wrote a draft today.
Nice.
I know, it felt so good. Working groups are going to replace the task forces. The task forces have retired. They have done the work that they set out to do. And so we're going to replace that with something similar. That'll be revealed in August.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just want to point out the people in the room that aren't attending every board meeting, the elementary school survey was the first, right?
Yes.
So can you elaborate some more? I know we do a lot in middle school and
For the middle school, we've done 3 years now. We've done a bullying survey, and for 2 years, we've done a belonging survey. And it just gives us insight into a little bit about grade levels, a little bit about what students are thinking about teacher connections, engagement in class, things like that. And so we just extended it down to elementary schools, even through kindergarten. Those teachers just adapted it so that their kids could participate in a variety of different ways. And what we do with that data is we continue to look at it, both comparing grade levels as they grow, but also this year's first graders compared to last year's first graders. And it just helps the teachers be able to tweak things and also feel good about some of their successes.
so essentially, if I understand it correctly, and commentary from my end for the gallery, before we only had middle school surveys to catch if there's anything wrong, so to speak, and we're extending it now into elementary school to get an even earlier warning system in place so that we can react quicker and make adjustments so we don't wait for things to happen and get worse once they come into middle school.
I will find it. Yes. Because they count.
Any other questions on the director's report? All right, we're just gonna give Elizabeth a half a second to pull up.
How would I share this with everybody else?
You want to
Should I share it with Emily? Zach uses Word. So do you want to?
Can you put it in a PDF?
I have it in a PDF. You're young, you can figure it out. I'm gonna tee it up.
Yeah, so it might seem like a turnaround since last spring we were also ratifying a collective bargaining agreement. That was a bit delayed because of wanting to see what the state's financial situation was. But this year we started the collective bargaining agreement in December, I believe, maybe even November. And it was a really productive thing to do and really got us underway in a way that was helpful in getting us a contract or collective bargaining agreement by the end of the school year. So the teachers voted, was it last week? Between the 13th and the 18th. And then we did receive a note that I think I passed along to all of you from the union's president, Scott Stevenson, that the teachers did vote to ratify that contract on June 18th. So now it is our opportunity to do the same. And I think Elizabeth is just going to share kind of the high level details. There weren't a ton of changes, I would say.
No, there were not.
I think
if you can start maybe with the other one.
Okay. Yes, I can actually share it too.
That's the final TA doc.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So some of the issues that the union brought to us were, there were a couple of MOUs or MOAs, I think they're one of each, that we needed to add to the last contract. One was for the READ Act, one was to allow EAs to start a little bit earlier. So we resolved those two issues, we embedded those. The largest issue was the salary. I think there's an appendix here, we can look at that in a second. Prep time, issue number 2 was prep time. The union had negotiated last year to a supervision schedule that reduced teachers' supervision to 90 minutes. And we kind of went back and forth on that one a little bit. It was really difficult for us to make that work, despite knowing how much it means to teachers. We were we were strapped a little bit at times for people to cover students, and so we just went back and forth on that. At the end of the day, it just seemed like the teachers really appreciated the time, and we gave that to them. So we know that they're going to use it for good, and it's going to end up coming out in success for our students. So issue number 3, the union asked to be allowed to strike. We, as members of the other side of the negotiation team, understand what that means for charter schools, and so our legal counsel advised to strike that one out. And then I think that is the highlights there. If you keep going down to exhibit 1, I think just keep going. Keep going. Keep going. More. And there it is. Yeah. Yeah. So this was building off of last year's salary schedule, where the focus was really in the left lower quadrant. So if you see, the top line is education, BA standing for Bachelor of Arts, MA standing for Master of Arts, the plus 10, 20, and 30 being credits past those degrees. And then the column going down, starting with 1, ending with 18, is the years of usually the years of teaching experience, or the years at TCJS. You can kind of, some of them might be different. And so the emphasis was placed on BA1, as we would say, which is bachelor's degree plus 1 year. And so last year that was already beefed up. So this year we just increased to what the state was giving to education, which was 2.74. And everybody got to move to their step. So we basically stayed where the schedule was, but allowed everybody to move down, which is still a raise. Do you want to add anything?
No, that's basically it. So the schedule is the same as it was, but we let everybody move their steps and lanes. Shouldn't say we let everybody move their steps.
The agreement was to have everybody move. Yes. Yeah, there was also some changes made. Exhibit 2, Director Albers is increasing the pay for educational assistants. We understand that that is an incredibly important position at our school, and those workers are doing important, good work that can be tricky. And so we raised those rates accordingly. It was about an 11% raise.
And just a reminder that the EAs are part of the teachers union. So it's
Yeah.
one, it used to be 2 separate unions. It is now one joint union. So we negotiate together.
Yeah, good point. Schedule C, we were just doing some cleaning up on some things, on some practices. We added a stipend for holding a full-time SPED teaching position. We know that we had difficulty hiring SPED teachers this year. So a lot of areas, schools, and districts are adding that stipend for hard to hire positions. We added a History Day coordinator, acknowledging that's a really important part of our school, and we want to acknowledge the work that goes into that. And yeah, again, just tightened up some things. We upped the pay for coaches. That's, I think, one more page, Emily. We had been $900 per team, and we moved it to $1,100 for a head coaching position. A sizable raise. And the last exhibit is just including the benefits cost. Any questions on the CBA?
All right. I will give Elizabeth and Kim and Richard a lot of credit for a lot of thoughtful conversations and hard work to make this process as seamless as possible, and also acknowledge Scott and all the teachers who were part of the negotiating team as well for the professionalism and collegial style of the negotiations this year. So it was the first time I was a part of it, and it was a really positive experience. So
We
Kudos to
agree
everyone.
that financial transparency is really important. Running a school and paying teachers is hard on the money that the state gives us. And we do the best we can, and we acknowledge that we want to give the teachers as much as we can. But we also have to keep the lights on.
Mhm. And we also have to acknowledge that we have a whole host of staff that are not part of the CBA as well, that we have to pay fairly and
Yeah,
adequately in their roles as well.
I think you need to include yourself in that thank you
Okay,
and recognition as well for being part of the team.
you're welcome. Excellent.
That's
Any,
good. I just want to say, I think that a big part of the reason outside of us being prepared and getting it started on time and everything is that financial transparency that kind of started with Karen and myself, you know, coming and holding budgeting meetings for the staff. And you continuing that has been a big part of the staff understanding our budget and where we're at and why we are presenting them with what we are presenting. I think that has been a huge part of why it went as smooth as it did. So
Yeah.
I hope that continues.
agreed.
Definitely.
School finances are unique. It's one of the biggest takeaways that I have had since joining the board. And I think taking the time to help people understand what our opportunities are and what our limitations are is really important. So well done.
So I had a quick question. If we compared I don't know. So let me start by saying this. Is there a like final CBA number that
I can't hear you, Wendy.
is there a final CBA number that would kind of describe the financial commitment that the school is agreeing to for this year, let's say 24,
I guess
20%.
that number would be the 2% increases that are built into this schedule.
Okay.
Combined with so the state gave us 2.74%. So they're getting the 2% in their salary increases. That's in line with the way the schedule existed, and mandatory to increase our TRA contributions for everybody by 0.75%. And I think that's why the state gave us 2.74%. So
Okay.
We didn't go that extra.
yeah,
I mean,
so that's where the numbers came
Okay.
from, and that's probably the one number that you could take away that just kind of blankets everything without looking at every individual cell on that spreadsheet. So
And these are the numbers that you used in the budget.
Correct. That staffing number is
Right.
accurate in
The
the
total number
25-26
is
budget.
right.
Then I think it kind of gets to my question, which was how does it compare to the last? So for example, would you say last CBA versus this CBA is just the last one plus 2.74%, or
The last the two previous negotiations were more significant increases than 2%. While we were trying to bring
of course.
Bring
us
them in
to
alignment.
in line with the 80% of
Public
average
schools.
teacher salaries in the area based off of 80% of average revenue
Okay.
for our school.
So
Okay.
yeah, we
So, yeah.
continue to be competitive with charter schools that are our size and in our area
Okay.
and within 80%
Mhm.
of public traditional schools.
Okay, yeah, I think that's great information. And so the last one is, and then you can just briefly describe it, but briefly answer it. I'll take a step back. Say I am also very, I guess, I would like to appreciate all your effort and very happy with recognize the work. And so, and then how does the increase, from the CBA and then the drop, it's albeit very small drop in enrollment. So like in maybe in 3 sentences, say, okay, this is how much this is increasing, this is how much this is coming down, and this is where we're making up the difference from.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I did mention that we had to make reductions in some staff and add to staff. So those are our tier 2 interventionists. We took 25% off the top. We did have some change out of staff, when we have retirees who have been working for a long time and then we replace them with someone with less experience, that's always going to give us a gain. It's not something we try to do, but it's something that happened twice on this particular budget. We also added the bonding money in. That was an extra that we really needed to do to make it work. So those couple of things.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we've also spent about approximately the last 6 years trying to make the budget as efficient as possible.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the CBA or the process? Great.
2 years before the next one.
2 years
Yeah.
before the next one.
It sounds like Director Tesviosis would like to be on that negotiation.
No, I'm very happy where I am.
It's fine.
Well, year and a half before it should be started.
Yeah.
But yes.
You get a break.
Let's take a year off.
Okay, we'll give you one more year. Great. Well, I will make a motion then to approve the CBA as presented and as ratified by the teachers union.
I will second.
Thank you, Director Hyde. Any other questions, discussions?
What percentage of teachers are on this CBA versus not? That part got me.
So the percentage of teachers that are in the union,
Yeah.
all teachers are on the CBA, whether they're in the union or not.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an
interesting
distinction,
fact. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then, so all of them are on the pay scale.
It affects all of them.
Okay.
Correct.
Would you like to know more about the difference? There's
As far,
one difference that really sticks is the ability to vote on things and be under protection of the union for like legal fees. Whereas if you're not in the union, you don't get to vote on the CBA and you do not have protection under the union with legal fees.
Okay.
Those are the main.
Okay.
does this union still require payment?
Yeah,
regardless?
it's about $750 a year, just like a
Regardless of whether
typical
they're-
union. Mhm. Which is usually for some people.
But if you're not in the union, you don't have to pay.
No.
Oh,
do
I'm sorry,
No, you do
I
not.
didn't understand your question.
I said if a teacher is not in the union,
Got
are they
it.
required to pay anything?
No.
Okay, because that's different. From my experience.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right. Any other questions, discussion? All right. All in favor of ratifying the CBA as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. CBA is approved. We can figure out a time to sign.
Let's do that.
Okay. No, that was one of our new learnings.
That's the learning.
Okay. Perfect. The one other action for approval under the executive director's report is we do need to officially name Elizabeth as our identified official with authority for the Iowa for TCJS, and that pretty much just grants her access to MDE's systems to be able to input data and school information. So it will just be a continuation of last year. And so I will just make a motion to approve Director Elizabeth Sanford as TCJS's official identified official with authority.
Continuing this.
It has to be renewed every year.
Okay, but it's okay.
Yes. Can I get a second?
Yeah, you can say them.
Thank you, Director Lindner.
I
Any
just want to give Richard the opportunity to milk it as much as possible.
second to every motion during this meeting? All right, any discussion? Great. All in favor of naming Elizabeth Senfenig as TCJS's Iowa, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, Motion passes and you are officially the Iowa. Excellent. That brings us to board committee reports. I think we get to start with fundraising. Mr. Snaka, give a quick recap.
All right, successful year as of, I'm not quite sure if it's been updated since April 30th, but on our agenda, we raised $88,867.
And I think there is
Which
some
is-
money still coming
I'm
in.
guessing there's still money
Yeah.
coming in because that was a while ago. And so our last board meeting, I was on a fellowship in Namibia, so I wasn't there, but reading the notes, basically looked at the strategies throughout the year, looking at focus areas and opportunities for next year, including tying in that 20th anniversary of how we could use that. And I don't know, Kirsten, if you want to add anything.
We also talked about some just additional outreach strategies that we could do over the summer to just say thanks to some of our supporters. Maybe some phone calls, hand sign letters, simple acts just to express gratitude and kind of steward the many people who so generously support our school. We're also working to make sure that all of our grant reports are completed on time, both with the Hall Foundation as well as Frederickson Byron Foundation. Just giving those year-end reports on the intern program, which both of those grants were for. And like Lindsay said, we just did some thinking about how we could reimagine things next year, what kind of opportunities there might be to engage the larger community, specifically folks that would be connected to our school through affinity, like members of the GAI, the GACC, the D10 Council, alumni families, things like that. So just some good discussions there about possibilities, and also ways to better involve staff, knowing that there are some teachers who've expressed interest or staff members in helping with fundraising. And so how can we evolve our meetings and some of our practices so that we can include more folks in that process. We also did a little brainstorming of people that we can maybe invite to be on our committee. We have a lot of folks that have been a part of it for a number of years, and we certainly appreciate that continuity, but also recognize that sometimes people are ready to move on. And so if there are opportunities to engage new folks, we'd welcome the opportunity to do that. So, yeah. They'll let you give everybody a shout out for.
Yeah, shout out to all of the members this year who were patient with me as I was the new chair and was working through how to navigate it all. Caitlin Cohen, Alyssa Moffett, Sarah Erkinen, Isabel Vollenbeiter, Paige Yurchuk, of course, Kim Hackett, Charles, Elizabeth St. Fennig, and then of course Kirsten Reich, who held my hand through everything, and I really appreciate all of your help through the year. You did a lot.
I appreciate you helping and raising your hand. So, I think it was a successful year.
We dumped the principal or Elizabeth or somebody.
Well, those are things we talked about, and
Those
how
are things we-
can we
20th anniversary.
really get the students jazzed about participating in different things, or families, and some of those incentives maybe
Kissing that
might be,
gecko.
yeah, kiss the gecko. I heard about that at my house, but. All right, finance.
Right, I'll be very quick. We met on the 3rd. Big notes from the meeting are we opened a line of credit on the recommendation of Kelly, our can I not controller, yes. And our representative at Bremer. We had a brief discussion on the refinancing of the bonds, but that's getting kicked to the ABC kind of. The finance committee and ABC are going to review it together starting in July. And then the rest of the majority of our meeting was based around the budget that we had previously discussed. We talked about enrollment. Elizabeth gave more accurate or more up-to-date numbers in her director's report. And then campus planning update, ABC and finance committee will talk about any possible HVAC stuff starting in July. And we approved a couple repairs that were very needed that Andy may be working on next week. They'll be
July
done
11th,
before the end of the summer. And that's it. So I will thank my committee members. I'll also plug the need for more committee members because I think a couple of our parents might be calling it after this year. But I want to thank our staff that joined the committee, Kim, Elizabeth, and Isabel. Couldn't do it without any of you. Also want to thank Kelly, our outsourced controller. Want to thank the other board members that made it to every meeting. Jens, you missed like one. You're all right. Jens and Ed. And I want to especially thank the 4 parents that made the finance committee very, very fun and easy to be the chair of. And that would be Alyssa Moffett. If you are still on, thank you so much. I hope you stay on. Matt Burris, Jake, and Mike Mitchelson. So thank you all.
Awesome. Excellent. That was the fastest finance report ever. I think that brings us to committee of the whole. The minutes are obviously noted. I think the big discussion that we really spent some time planning around was our plan for board succession and some initial conversations about officer roles as well as committee roles. We also took an in-depth look at the budget and also spent some time just doing some recap of our strategic planning as well as hearing from Elizabeth on staffing updates and things like that at the end of the year. It was the Thursday after the last day of school, so I think everybody was feeling the effects of the last day of school. The board or the meeting concluded with a closed session that we used to discuss Executive Director Zenfindig's performance review for the end of the year. That performance review was held yesterday with Jens and I, and it was a great discussion. I think the board and Elizabeth were in very close alignment with our various ratings. So I appreciate everyone taking the time to be a part of that discussion at the closed session last week. I hope we gave you some effective feedback. But yeah, governance.
So sorry. I feel like I'm going to be the one that can't get as fast as
It's okay. You
I
have
would
a lot of
like to.
policies.
I've got policies to consider. So I'll start with just saying my thank yous first, actually. I just want to thank Ed, Jens, and Richard for being there all year. I wouldn't say it's the most exciting committee to be a part of, but you stuck through it and I appreciate it. You always came with really good questions, which it's always good to have those perspectives, whether it be a parent lens on top of things, asking clarifying questions, things like that. As much as I think Elizabeth has tried to move away from governance, is thinking like, but yeah, you did 4 years. But I have to thank you for still bringing policy to me, for answering questions with Catherine and I, things like that. And that goes into thanking Catherine as well. She's really killed it as joining in that role as the administrative person at the meetings. And yeah, her insight is great. It was really appreciated when we met at the student council. It's, again, not the most fun committee to be a part of always. I'd be remiss without thanking Katrin Gilhoff, who works with the student council and the student council as well, to thank them for their time. They've worked really hard on talking with us about and finding resources for the wellness policy, about how that can be better made to fit our school going forward, but also recognizing the limitations that we have as a board of what we need to be holding ourselves accountable to. I'd also, this is without, I say at every meeting, Lori is always there. She's got MISBA in her pocket. She's ready to go. So this community would not run without Lori. So I'm very grateful to her as well for continuing on after her board service. And yeah, it's been awesome. So we actually got, I think, almost everything done this year.
It's amazing. Good job.
Mhm.
It just, continues. With that, moving to governance, we have quite a few policies up for approval tonight. The first one is policy 533, which is the wellness policy. Policy 216, which is the board member ongoing education policy. Policy 723, which is zero waste. Policy 524, which is the internet usage, and that is reviewed annually. So we've seen this one a lot, obviously. Library materials, which is a new policy, is 606.5. Policy 616 is the school district system accountability. Policy 534 is the meals policy, which is new. And then policy 522, which is the student sex non-discrimination policy. So I would make a motion to approve those aforementioned policies.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you, Director Hyde. Discussion, do you want to give a quick highlight of?
Yeah.
At least the new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe
So-
significant changes to the wellness policy since that's.
Yep, low hanging fruit would be board member ongoing education, zero waste, nothing specifically drastically changed in those. New policies, same with 616, which is school district system accountability. As far as new policies go, 534 is new. This was a policy that started getting worked on last year. It is all about school meals, so it was kind of given to us by the state. And it looks to make sure that we're meeting compliance with payment of meals, which in Minnesota, of course, is also kind of a different thing with the breakfast and lunch being free. But it does talk about lower negative account balances. And it does talk about if there's any unpaid charges, things like that. So for example, extra portions of meals are not free. So those need to be paid. And then lastly is the communication out about the policy. So it's all brand new. So that is the first one. The other one that is new is the library materials policy, which is 606.5. This was to make sure this was taken from NISBA, I believe, and is something that we need in order to get funding for, as well as the responsibility of those materials and how that is all worked. It does talk about also the selection of materials, things like that. So there's also a process for if things want to remove library materials. So this was a template that was given to us. And lastly, we've got a few heavier policies in the bank. So 524 is internet usage. This is something that we review annually. However, with our new IT, we wanted to relook at some of the misalignment that was in there. We've deemed that the things that are going on are in alignment with what is outlined in the policy. So we're good going forward. I've talked with Austin, our lead IT guy who's on site most of the time. It seems like it's all good. So we're good on that. And then of course, the big one is 533, which is our wellness policy. This is the last one I'll talk about. And then wellness policy for reference. We did the triennial assessment last year with the wellness subcommittee. The student council gave feedback on what they wanted to see changed. We met with them in last Monday of school to get their feedback and talk about what they were looking for in the policy. Catherine, Assistant Principal Radke, laid it out really nicely of, are you looking to share food or are you looking to have basically like potlucks or cupcakes and stuff for your birthdays? And we talked about it. We found some places where we could potentially amend it. while also staying in compliance with what the triennial assessment requires from us. So making sure that our foods, both at snack, during the school day, given to kids, things like that, are all within compliance from what the national government is looking for us to do. So, yeah, that's the wellness policy. They were looking to also think about like sharing in the procedural part. So a part of this is also that there's a lot of misconception about what's in the policy versus what's in our procedures. So it does not say anything about sharing food within a student to student context. However, we don't want potlucks at lunch. So some of these things the board does not need to put into a policy, but it is admin's responsibility. So it was a really good discussion with them. And I felt like it was a good use of their time and our time. So I was really.
They did their homework.
Yeah, they did their homework.
Mhm.
That feedback slideshow is insane.
Yeah, they did it.
Well, thank you for involving them in the conversation. I
Yeah.
think that's huge.
Yeah, it's one that they,
Really pressed for.
yeah. It's nice seeing them have their things to go for as well. So
Absolutely.
Question on the school lunch thing, I get why the application matters for the additional to the free lunch and breakfast. But does it apply to any other funding we may get from the federal government or the
It
state?
used to.
Not anymore.
Right. Any other questions? On these policies?
I'm not 100% sure that I understand the changes that were made to the wellness policy. I've talked with Catherine a little bit about it and I think Director Lindner a little bit about it. And I know that we struck some stuff. It seemed like when I talked to you, Jens, that there was some contradictions between a couple of the 4.81 blah, 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 and something else. Can you give some highlights on what those changes were that the group came to conclusion on?
Elizabeth, do you have the page number in the packet? If you don't, that's fine.
I think it's I think it's 36. Starts
32.
on 32, but I was looking at page 36.
are you looking specifically at 4.8.1.3?
I think it is 4.8.1.3, yes. We've had, there's always been we don't use food, like 4.7.1 says food will not be used to reward or incentivize students for any learning activity, graded or not, that is done in or outside of school, can't be used to reward good behavior, etc. And then it also says that food for celebrations will be okay with prior approval of the executive director. So.
Yep.
Yeah, so the biggest sticking point from the student council was 4.73. I believe that they can, if I'm remembering correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Director Alders, that there is no quote unquote sharing allowed when people have birthdays.
Mhm.
So we collectively decided to strike that 4.73 to allow people or students to bring in. However, they still need to meet the guidance in 4.8.1.3.
Yeah. So
Which is the Smart Snacks Nutrition Standard.
Correct.
So it felt like because we had amended 4.8.1, 8-piece numbering systems. Sorry, Richard. However, the 4.7.3 was kind of going the opposite direction of it when in theory, we're not saying, and this was Catherine too, we're not saying kids can have cupcakes. And we're not debating that part of it. It's more if there's prior approval from the executive director as lined in 4813, then it must still meet the requirements of the Smart Snack nutrition standards and has to have prior approval. But it might be a cultural or a celebratory thing, was what the student council, Catherine, myself, and then governance had talked about.
Okay, I think I'm all for the cultural celebrations. We've been talking about that for years and school-wide things like that. I think I would really struggle with the birthday snack thing, especially with prior approval. I can't think of a kindergarten through fourth grader that wouldn't do this. I'm gonna have an email box full of and I have to say yes to everyone. I can't say yes or no.
So you're looking at unstriking 473, say, I wish it was on the other laptop.
I would recommend that we strike
Just call
food. This is like a double negative. Food will not be used as part of any classroom parties or celebrations. Both. I also feel like we're missing a major component that the parents who were really rallying 6 or 7 years ago about allergens and kids just being able to be included in snacks. I think we're missing a huge equity piece here.
Well, wasn't there some note about major allergens? Like
There is a major allergen.
Yep, it's in the
list.
definitions.
Is there,
But you're always going to hit, we've got gluten allergies. We've got, obviously, we're not going to do peanuts, but you're always going to hit somebody who can't have the snack. I just remember that group 4 years ago when we did this the first time was really active in the discussion and explained a lot of things that I'd never really thought about before when it comes to snacks. I understand the students wanting to do this. I also would say that our culture around this, while there might be slightly less joy than at a school that has a different rule, it's also been very fair.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about policy versus procedure,
Mm-hmm.
do we need to set it in stone in the policy versus having the policy be a framework that gives the procedure the leeway to define what actually will happen?
I think the beauty of having policies is that we sit behind the policy as a group, united, versus you guys saying, well, if you want to have cupcakes, it's up to Elizabeth. Because I don't want to have cupcakes. We can't anyway, but I don't want to have baked goldfish either. I just see a host of scenarios in which I see a host of problems. I like the idea of opening it up to celebrations like German breakfast after the DSD one. Celebrating, I don't know, I can think of other things where we are at least being more relaxed in those. I don't feel comfortable passing this policy the way it is. We could discuss it in fall after sitting on it, or
it's not required to have this redone yet. We can push it to fall.
I don't want to extend this meeting any longer than it already is.
How are snacks handled in kindergarten?
Different than they used to be when your kids were little. Now everybody brings their own snack.
It's had a flashback of buying
Me too. Yeah.
stuff at Costco.
Yeah. Mandarins like they were going out of style.
Two weeks I was assigned.
Yeah.
I'm taking your wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand how this idea aligns with our zero waste policy, because having kids bring, 25 plastic things like isn't great either. We have suggestions. We have, bringing a book to share, bringing a toy to for show and tell, things like that. We have we have worked around it. It feels like a step backwards for me to change this thing. I'd be really interested to hear what parents would say. I know that there isn't a ton of participation at governance, but I bet we would get some participation if we asked for some feedback on this one.
I think it would be interesting because I think at times it does feel overly restrictive where we can't even do things that are like maybe in keeping with German traditions, or it seems like we
Yeah.
sometimes miss some of those cultural opportunities that
Agreed.
really are unique to our school. So if we could strike a balance between
Cultural food tastings are a part of learning a language.
Right.
Totally agree.
or maybe it's German breakfast for not just the eighth graders, but that's something that you do your first day of kindergarten, or I mean, not
Yeah.
first day of kindergarten, that's overwhelming enough, but you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a welcome to school
Yeah.
or, so it seems like there could be a balance. I can completely appreciate you don't want to approve everybody's birthday snack. That seems not feasible, but,
And I think that's what we were kind of trying to get at. It
Yeah.
was a discussion point though in the student council meeting was, are they looking for that or are they looking to share food? Like what was what were they hoping to get out of it? And so it was kind of hard to discern, were they looking to just like slip cookies to each other without teachers being upset at them? Then that brought us into the procedural side of things where, you know, people were saying different things about what kids could or could not do, but then they were confused because they were like, well, it's not in the policy. Well, it is procedure, so on and so forth. So I think just clearing, and I think that's something we could do on a policy level is to clear it up in those ways to make sure that we're being very adamant about saying cultural things on a grade wide level or otherwise during the school day are allowed. However, this is still not.
individual
Yeah.
type things.
Yep.
Because it also does seem like sometimes it could be fun to have some sort of like they did the popsicles for the MCAs or like
Yeah.
some of the, or like
Yeah.
for the Lazy Marathon, doing like a popsicle, you know,
Which is
nothing
why we
like
had
over the
also
top,
opened
but
up.
Although we're not supposed to incentivize students for.
well, like I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, but that is why we opened this, because it used to say just school-wide. And I can't think of a time in school that we've ever had a school-wide cultural celebration that involved food. We've had cultures, but that's not during the school day,
Yeah.
therefore not covered by this. So. We can pause on it. We can do a
Just lay it
survey,
over.
see if people agree.
I think we need more feedback.
But I mean, yes, of course, but is it possible that the feedback will just reflect, you know, some parents will say, yep, I think kids should be able to celebrate their birthdays. Others will say,
I'm
no.
not sure. I'm not
Okay.
sure, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just know that if we asked, and we're so intentional about getting student feedback, that I think we should ask on the other side as well. Also because I sat in those conversations and I know that it's a big deal. That this policy is a big deal.
Would there be other guiding policies that can govern this specific point?
I wouldn't want to. I think it fits in this.
So for it,
Do you mean procedure?
maybe procedure?
Maybe,
just-
they all need to align though.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It seems to me, if there was a point to separate individual versus collective behavior
Mhm.
for snacks, it might work. But I would agree that, yeah.
Yeah, and snack time is different than celebration or reward.
Well, it seemed,
I'd make a motion
Yep.
to amend your motion to strike policy 533 from the approval roll and bring it back in the fall for further evaluation and feedback and discussion.
Okay.
right, any further discussion on that? Great. Going back to Emily's original motion, do we have any other discussion on any of the other policies up for approval?
I did want to note that the zero waste policy was renamed as part of that,
Yes,
to
sorry.
the
That was
environmental sustainable.
Environmental, yes.
I'm not gonna remember it off the top of my head, but we did change it from zero to environmental sustainability policy. Correct.
All right. How do we want to do?
Well, point of order, I don't think the motion's needed to strike that. It's just an amendment to your motion.
Yep.
You can make that amendment. Say.
To lay over the,
Yeah, restate your motion
yep,
and leave out
Well,
the wellness policy and then we can vote and move on.
Hi, it's so fun. This is what I mean. Join the vote or join the governance committee. All right, I make a motion to approve policy 216, policy 723, policy 524, policy 606.5, policy 616, policy 534, and policy 522, which does leave out the other one.
Okay.
all right,
You amended your motion. It's already been seconded. Now we can vote.
okay. All in favor of approving the policies as noted by Director Alders's amended motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. Policies are approved. Well done, Governance Committee. Thank you for all of your work. All right. I think that brings us to a little more fun agenda item, which is liaison updates.
I said it was fun.
It was, okay.
I'll
So,
start.
okay, go staff liaison.
The staff council had their final meeting. It went really well. They are going to be, it's going to be a new staff council essentially next year. 2 of the 5 are staying. They are all working on finding their replacements, and all the current staff council members have said they will join the first staff council meeting next year to kind of pass the baton, specifically around the what's it called? The basis of the
Charter.
charter. Thank you. Essentially around the work on the charter that we started this year. Also noted, we're going to need a new staff council liaison. So if any of the current board members or new board members are interested in that, it's been probably my favorite part of my experience here. So you should fight for it. I'm done.
Great. Thank you for that. And thank you for being the staff liaison for how many years? All 5?
No,
6?
I think only 3.
3. Okay. For 3 years.
Yeah.
Well done. All right. Parent liaison, any updates?
Yeah, so they approved their charter, so that was a
That was a big,
deal, so that's good. They're working through the summer. There was low election participation, so they're gonna do an open call for new members. But they're doing well. There was some talk about kindergarten in new family engagement and what should be planned for fall. And then there was a discussion about the capstone trip for the current 7th graders having low engagement for the fundraising and what can be done to start the engagement earlier for current 6th graders so that we're better prepared for them when they reach 8th grade. Yeah, so those are the things they're looking at.
so like
I
the
did meet-
incoming 7th graders or the,
Incoming 7th graders had low participation, or for
Incoming
incoming 7th graders, incoming 8th graders
Okay,
had low participation, yeah.
Although we have since garnered more interest and that's looking a little bit better.
Good.
Great.
I did meet with David more about the kindergarten thing. We had an hour-long meeting, took lots of notes, and he was really resourceful in his ideas that came from parent council. And so I expect some of that to result in some good positive change.
That's great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Administrative liaison, like I said, I think the big thing to report is that we did complete Director Zampenig's year-end review, and that was a productive conversation. And yeah, I will miss our Tuesday meetings at 11 o'clock. It won't be the same, but I know that Jens is ready to take over and might not be at 11. But, so thank you for all your time this year. Or clap for ourselves. We made it every Tuesday at 11.
Two-person clap.
Yep. All right. Okay, I think that actually brings me to what I did think would be fun, which is appointing our new parent board members. So just to give everybody a quick recap, we had open positions for our election that were not filled. So thank you to Wandy and Lisa for running in the election. That left us with a couple open positions, one to replace the 2 years left on Anna Miller's term after she decided to head back to Germany in January. The other to fill the open position that was not did not garner a candidate in the actual election. So that would be a 3-year term. And then the last position is a year-long term to round out Director Smaka's term, from which she's stepping down at the end of this year. So that brings us to Lisa.
Can
Marta.
I note on that? Lisa is not being approved.
Lisa is,
She was elected.
she was elected.
Sorry, I just noticed that.
Yep. Okay. So
No notes in the body.
you were elected, Lisa. Okay. Anything else? Did I get all that right? So I would move to make a motion to appoint Marta Vanderbosch to a 2-year term beginning this July 1st, Andrea Ottoman to a 3-year term, and Ethan Sutton to a 1-year term, all beginning July 1st and ending in the respective dates that I just noted, to fill vacant parent positions on the board. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Hyde. Any discussion?
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you all.
Yes.
Yeah. They have to-
absolutely appreciate your and over there. Okay, sorry, you get embarrassed. Absolutely appreciate your willingness to step up. I've been in similar shoes just a year ago. It's like I'm seeing the announcements. Hey, we're looking for board members. We're looking for board members. Like, should I? Shouldn't I? And I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I appreciate your stepping up and filling in the roles that are left vacant, unfortunately, due to the expiration of terms. So looking forward to working with you. And we can talk more.
I also want to say, obviously, Kirsten Jens, you do so much. And I know it was a lot of work to navigate all that being on the committee with you, but I want to especially thank Emily. I don't think she gets recognized enough for all the work she does as the governance chair, especially when it comes to the election and appointments and onboarding and all of that stuff. So I don't think you're recognized for it enough. But
I agree.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion, clarification? All right. All those in favor of appointing Marta Vanderbosch, Andrea Ottoman, and Ethan Sutton to the TCGS Board of Directors, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. Welcome to the board, guys. All right.
No turning back now.
No turning back now. You're official. All right, and thank you for waiting to the very end of the meeting. Next item on the agenda is to recognize our outgoing board members. So I will kick us off with that. I always think that this is a great time to just reflect on the impact that each member of this board has made in their own way during their tenure. So first up, I want to thank Director Smaka for her service to the board as both the former communications committee chair, as well as stepping up to the Sears fundraising chair, both of which were not necessarily her area of expertise, but she stepped up and she did a fantastic job, and we really appreciate her raising her hand. She also served as this year's board secretary, which we were very grateful for as well. Lindsay has graciously stepped up to help whenever needed, including stuffing scones in bags in her living room with me earlier this spring. And she's done so in the midst of an incredibly busy schedule. I think Lindsay is perhaps one of the busiest people I have ever known in her service to others. She's not only a high school chemistry teacher, but she's also a world traveler who bravely leads students on amazing service learning trips. In the past 2 years alone, she's adventured to Madagascar. These are the ones I can remember: Madagascar, Germany, Zimbabwe, and Namibia. And she's also pursuing her PhD, which took her to Nepal. So it's incredible. She is also actively involved in Rotary and just gives back to her community in amazing ways. And the fact that she's been able to commit to this board has been tremendous. Lindsay epitomizes TCGIS's values of curiosity, kindness, and intercultural engagement, and we are so grateful she was able to share her professional experience with us as an educator for her past 2 years on the board. So thank you, Lindsay. It's been a pleasure. Typically, we give out small mementos. We had a little bit of a miscue, and we only ended up with one of our 4 mementos. So that will be coming to you shortly when we can figure out, we can just follow this one around this. It says Richard on it, but it will say Lindsay. So we'll figure that out. We're not quite sure what happened there. So that brings us to Director Hyde. Hold on, where's my notes?
I already got.
No. I've got a good story about you. So the first time I met Richard was at walking pickup, and I was talking with some other parents, and I kept kind of seeing this guy out of the corner of my eye walking around handing stuff out to people. And I figured out shortly that it turns out it was Richard, and he was campaigning for the board. And he was handing out campaign buttons that said in German, Richard for treasurer. And I thought to myself, wow, this guy is campaigning to be the treasurer of the board. I don't know if I can match that level of commitment. And I think my assessment was spot on, because Richard's commitment to TCGIS is absolutely amazing, as we heard earlier this year. So not only does he bring his immense talents professionally to his volunteer gig, but he also is a connector, always inviting people to join in and helping them feel welcome, valued, and appreciated. His excitement is contagious. He's one of the school's biggest champions and cheerleaders, as evidenced by the fact that he recruited his friend to come from La Crosse and enroll their 4 kids in our school next year. And they're moving to our neighborhood, which is even better. And no one can question his dedication and genuine love for the school. Who else would make a campaign button to be the treasurer? Ed? Those are goals. Those are goals for next time.
I somehow have like 8 of those buttons.
Yeah, so it's been a blast serving you. Thank you for helping me to acclimate to board service, for being a steady and strategic presence, and also bringing the fun and laughter to our meetings. So congratulations on 6 years of service. It's a laugh, Judy. That's your name. So I don't know how you walked out. You got this done.
Yeah. Those will be for Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for putting up with me while I served on the board for 6 years.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the last one rolling off, so I'll just say I want to thank all of you for making my time fun and memorable, and just a really meaningful experience. And we spend a lot of time together, and it would not be the same if you didn't get to work with really great people and great leaders. So yeah, I appreciate all of your support and encouragement. And as we prepare to celebrate 20 years, I'm excited to see what the future brings. And I know that all of you will be a part of it. So thank you.
You shouldn't have
Can we
to
say
send
something
yourself
about
off.
cursing?
So we should all, yeah, we have to probably jump in.
So I'll start. I didn't really prepare anything outside of my head because I'm not as organized as you are. However, I'll say when Julie was stepping down, I was legitimately worried about
So was I.
about what the board composition was gonna look like, and you killed it with your 1 year as board chair. Nothing was dropped, nothing was overlooked or anything like that. I had a wonderful year working with you so closely. I feel like we've become friends. I hope that continues.
For sure.
Yeah, so you've done an amazing job filling big shoes. And I think this year could not have turned out better than it has. And that's a big part of your doing.
Appreciate it.
I feel like the story that I think of that comes to my mind that exemplifies what you've done for the board this year is the smorgasbord party at my house. You were the first to arrive. You brought me a lovely hostess gift because you were always thinking of others. And you brought more food than I've ever seen anyone produce out of one car. Because you just take care of people. You are a giver at your heart. You baked beautiful bars. I don't know when you had time. You're it's like a clown car. You just kept pulling stuff out. And I was really grateful. And I feel like that's what you've done for us the entire year is you've taken care of us. You've provided, you've been a giver. You've been such a help to me. And I will really miss you next year.
We'll also be here
With your 8th grader.
with my rising 8th grader. Who knew? Yeah, she's really in 7th grade. Thank you. That's really sweet.
As I'm stepping into your role and you have stepped into Julie's role, I know I have big shoes to fill. I'm very well aware of that, so I will do my best, of course. Thank you for your time as the chair. Thank you for your time on the board. Thank you for your time in the fundraising committee all the years. Bet I couldn't convince you to stay on longer, but thank you for your time. I'm sure we stay in touch and have more to celebrate, especially 20 years.
Absolutely.
Right? So, and I know we all want to go home, so.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Well, and I have a little bit of something for you too. This is the official board pass the board chair. So you have your quick reference guide to Robert's Rules of Orders.
Okay.
The full reference guide. The timer that I just put a new battery in. So you're good to go.
Clearly that was broken tonight.
Yeah, I haven't had to use it all year until tonight, and the gavel. So you are, and a note, but you can do that later. So
Thank you.
you have all the supplies that you need. I also have some other things for you in the back, but thank you. Appreciate your willingness to step in. It's going to be great. The board is lucky to have you as a leader. So with that, I think we get to actually formally welcome our newest board members through the oath of office. Thank you, Danielle Miller, for staying here all night until this time. So if I could have all of our new members come on up front.
Appointed and elected.
Appointed and elected. Oh,
Is that the timer?
that's the time.
Yen's meetings are gonna be shorter.
Oh, yeah. All right.
I'll stand right in front of the camera.
Yeah, there you go.
So.
Wandy, you're up there too.
Yes.
More time.
All right. This is for all of you who haven't had a chance to meet, this is Danielle Miller. She is our program manager through our authorizer, the University of St. Thomas. And we invited her here today to administer the oath of office for our newest board members. Danielle is an important part of helping our school run well, just as you will be as board members. So I will let her take it over.
Thank you. So I really appreciate you being willing to give your time. Being on the board is huge, and without you charter schools cannot exist. And so I just thank you for all of your time, and I really appreciate you doing this. So without further ado, you're gonna repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Minnesota.
I solemnly swear.
Stop. I went way too far. Okay. Let me do this again. We're gonna put this out ahead of time. I know, I'm like, it's too late. Okay, you guys, you, yeah. Didn't pass my first test. All right, here we go. I solemnly swear or affirm.
I solemnly swear or affirm.
That I will support the constitutions.
That I will support the constitutions.
Of the United States and the state of Minnesota.
Of the United States and the state of Minnesota.
And that I will faithfully discharge.
And that I will faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office of the Board of Directors of the Twin Cities German Immersion School.
The duties of the office of the Board of Directors of the Twin Cities German Immersion School.
I understand that having taken the foregoing oath.
I understand that having taken the foregoing oath.
I hereby signify.
I hereby signify.
My acceptance of the office.
My acceptance of the office.
And its legal and moral obligations.
And its legal and moral obligations.
You are now officially board members.
Okay, while you're there. And you get your flowers.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's on the board for next year. Because we didn't do that last year.
We get a picture with.
Thank you. Lovely.
Okay, Emily and Abner, can you go in the picture as well?
We might need to put our flowers down, yeah? Here, let's take one with you guys and your flowers. I failed doing this last year. We never got a full board picture as a result, and so it's outdated on the website. Okay, one. Sorry. Make sure you hold it up. Yep, hold it up. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, if you guys want to step down, then.
Well, hold on.
Okay, and then
Let's
let's
get
get one with
Danielle,
Danielle.
and
Sorry.
then and just the new ones, and then we can get the whole board.
These are the things you learned after you've been on. You want to get the pictures now, right? Pictures and more pictures. No, you're good. I was telling you, yeah, we're in the middle now. All right, 1, 2, 3. Awesome, okay. Now, Ed, Jens, Abner, Emily. Yeah, why don't you guys go down? Veterans. I'm just so proud of me, I'm taking pictures. Oh, yeah. We have a whiteboard in the background, we're to school, so it's fun. Well, and it's.
Abner covers up most of it, so.
Oh, yeah.
It was. Go for it.
Okay. Want to make sure you're kind of in the, there you go. All right. 1, 2, 3. I'm just saying, you're really not as close up as. It doesn't work. Richard, can you want to stand on a chair? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Great. Okay. Good job. He's doing it. He's doing it. All right. Yay. Well.
All right. You want to put it? Do you want to?
No, sitting.
No, I'm done.
You're up, let's go.
Okay.
It starts tonight.
Yeah, it starts now.
Do you want to do it? Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Joking.
Yeah, no, come on up.
Oh, you're
Sit at the table.
Memories or just this section?
I have a.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Get to vote on committees.
So we have a couple of things that we need to take care of. All our new
Christian, do they have to actually sign this and turn it in? No, they get to keep it.
Do you have the calendar?
In the notes.
Do you have that?
But I can get you the date.
Does Emily have it? Does Emily have it
Do you have the calendar, the dates of the
for next year?
board meetings?
Yes. I just clicked on the print calendar for whatever reason, like a minute ago. Is it on the right screen? No. I'm gonna grab a.
We have that, we have that.
Well, you can have this.
Okay.
Oh, my.
So as the next action item on our agenda, we have the board officers, meaning the executive committee and our board calendar. Typically, our meetings are the fourth Thursdays of the month, except July and December.
We don't have anything.
Do you have, okay, it's loading. So our action item would be to approve the board meeting schedule for next school year.
So sorry, I put my arm on the button. Apparently that meant that I zoomed in. Is it obvious that it's really late? So this is the print calendar in general, but it has all the board dates on it.
Yeah, so it would be August 28th, then September 25th, October. There we go, October 30th. November 20th. Not in December. January 29th. February 26th. March 26th. April 30th. May 28th. And the last board meeting of the school year would be on June 25th.
Indeed.
Okay, so make a motion to approve the board meeting schedule as outlined. Do you have a second?
Second.
Yeah. Any discussion, any questions?
Just curious, I don't want to start it, but like for Labor Day, I know the school's out Friday. Do you guys ever want to move it like instead of Thursday? I don't know if people go out of town to like a Wednesday in that event. It's a very early Labor Day this year. So like August 28th will be going into the school closure day, right? Or
Yeah, the 29th is a PD day.
fair.
Mhm.
More for like if board members will also be unavailable.
I was just second,
Yeah,
agreeing.
yeah.
Yeah, 29th is
I would just say in that event, yeah, would you either want to move to a Wednesday or I know the prior week is welcome to school night, so that would, but
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
just with holiday weeks, right? I'm sure other times you guys maybe work around absences, but
And one thing to note, throughout the year, we've moved, like, this
Sure.
meeting was supposed to be tomorrow and we moved it, so we have
Yeah,
moved it.
the only challenge is that August would be our first board meeting.
right,
Yeah.
that's why I bring it up. It's the first
Yeah.
board meeting going into a holiday weekend. Wednesday? I
And
don't know what works for Elizabeth, so I'm open to like
They
what
both
works
work.
for the school.
It's fine. Yeah.
how does it look for the other board members?
It's all the same at this point. Yeah, it's a long time.
With you today.
I know.
That'll be workshop week for you.
Yeah,
Okay, so
We're not that long weekend.
it might actually be open house
Mm.
potentially. So I could figure that out. Probably. I don't know yet. I'll know in August, but
so yes, no to Wednesday.
Or a different day, whatever.
I'm okay with it.
I'm fine with it.
Wednesdays, yeah, that Wednesday works.
Does your school historically do it on a Wednesday?
I feel like it's often on Wednesday, but I think it's kind of year by year, and I don't think I'll know yet. Also, it might be at like 5 o'clock, so I just can't say for sure right now.
Or Tuesday, it's up to, I mean, I'm open to whatever. I just wanted to bring it up because it's a holiday.
Yeah, all days
Wednesday
work
work
for
for
me.
Thursday work for me.
It's the first week of school.
Yeah, Tuesday doesn't work for me. That's not fun.
Will we be having a committee of the whole
Yes,
meeting,
2 weeks before.
2 weeks before?
Yep. So we'll meet on the 12th for committee of the whole.
Do we decide then on the final day, like we've done? Or does it have to be a board meeting vote on it?
I think we need a.
It
because
just
of
has to
open
have
meeting
48
laws, we need to,
hours.
leave it.
Yeah, it would get moved, but it'd be easier to do it now versus when everybody's schedules get even
Yeah.
busier. If we are.
You have a conflict with Thursday or you just asking?
We might sometimes go out of town. Maybe I won't then. I don't know, Elizabeth, does it work better for the PD day to keep it Thursday? Or do people have a problem with Wednesday? Or he might, okay.
No, I don't have any problem with any of that. I have to be here on the 29th, so I'm not going out of town.
If it's just me and I end up going out of town, I can dial in. Is that a thing or
Yes, if you give us your location.
if I don't? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm new to all of this, so I just want to ask.
That's a good question.
So,
It's in the video.
so leaving it on Thursday then? Is that the,
That works. Mhm.
okay. All right, so we have the motion to approve the board calendar with the fourth Thursday of each month being our board meetings, except July and December. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, the board calendar is approved. The next action item we have is to approve the board officers, which form the executive committee. The executive committee usually meets once a month based on available schedules, and typically ahead of the committee of the whole. The proposed officers for the upcoming school year is myself as the chair, Director Albers as the vice chair, Director Larson as the treasurer, and Director Van der Bosch as the secretary. Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All good? All right. Yes. So all in favor to appointing the directors, the executive committee as outlined with myself, Director Lindner as the chair, Director Albers as the vice chair, Director Larson as the treasurer, and Director Van der Bosch as the secretary, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Congratulations. Next action item. I'm trying to make it quick, so we have 2 minutes. As amended at the beginning, we only will approve the upcoming committees or subcommittees. The executive committee is standing, the committee of the whole is standing, and we have essentially finance, governance and leadership, and fundraising. We did have a mission fulfillment committee that we want to dissolve as it's been carried over into staff activities. So the motion I'm making would be to approve. We don't need to approve the standing committees, right? The only one would be fundraising, because that's not
If it's ad hoc, yeah. So governance has to be there, finance and facilities has to be there. Fundraising does not technically, but obviously we want it, so we would approve that.
Kirsten left you on your own. Oh, there she is.
Do we need to approve fundraising or just dissolving mission alignment?
You need to approve fundraising if you want to have that committee.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. So as for chairs for those, we're gonna figure that out over the summer. I will be in touch with everybody. Same for liaison roles for next year for staff, parent, and academic. Okay,
Administrative, right? That's just okay.
that's me. Okay, so I make the motion to have continue the fundraising committee for next year and to dissolve the mission fulfillment committee. Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, as having taken over the mission alignment committee from Anna when she left, just would like to thank Elizabeth, you and your team for the work that was put into it. And I know that we're gonna look at the outcome of that to go maybe into the strategic plan. So just thank you for that. And I think it's the right move, putting it under the administrative side.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All right. All in favor of dissolving the mission fulfillment committee and continuing the fundraising committee, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. That brings us to new business. As far as I'm aware, I don't have any new business unless any of the directors have new business.
And it's a point of order that it's 9:32, so.
All right, seeing none business, I will move to adjourn the June board meeting of the Twin Cities German Immersion School at 9:32.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome. All right.
Welcome to all the new board members. My plan is